I made it up because there's like Tony Soprano, and Soprano is a high singer, and the only singers that are higher than that are castratis because they've been like castrated. So I was laughing at the idea in my head of like some guy being like, I'm even more of the boss than Soprano. I'm the castrati, and like not knowing what that means. I don't know. I just thought it was really stupid.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I chose it. And then again, like all of this stuff I established when I thought this was just going to be like a fucking bedroom project and not go anywhere. So I'm kind of stuck with it. I would have chosen something cooler like Tony Cobra.
Hey, how are ya? My name is Lachlan Watt, and music is my life. So after 15 weekly episodes since kicking this podcast off, I've finally dropped the ball and missed a week. That said, I feel like the only person I owe this podcast to is myself, and it was my birthday last week, so what are you gonna do? More importantly though, I'd actually run out of interviews and I didn't get one lined up in time. Thankfully, I got on Zoom and got one in the can yesterday with Tony Castrati, the singer and founder of Boston's Crippling Alcoholism. This band is absolutely fucking incredible, to the point where it's almost embarrassing how much I've been spraying about them to just about everyone since 2024's second record, the underground cult hit With Love from a Padded Room. This album blew my brains out, scooped them up, and then had my headless corpse cradle them lovingly like a baby. Crippling Alcoholism plays murder ballads with a unique melding of influences that get quite heavy and abrasive at times. While at other times, the band flourishes into what are basically dark, twisted 80s pop songs. And this vibe has really come to the forefront of their forthcoming new album, Camgirl, due out next month through Portrayal of Guilt Records. There's just so much to get into with the band's name, their huge concepts, the most incredibly dark and fucked up lyrics you've ever read, and the outlook on music from a man with the mind that made the whole thing to begin with. After being in touch online for the last year or so, it was an absolute pleasure to speak to Tony face to face finally, so I'll let him do the bulk of the talking from here. You're with Lachlan Watt, music is my life, and now I give you my conversation with Tony Castrati of Crippling Alcoholism. Cheers! So you're at the studio tonight?
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually with the Crippling people. I was with Stefan and Alice, where we are working on the next album. So
Damn, no time wasted.
no rest for the wicked. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say, kind of insane. Like, With Love only came out last year, and it was like my album of the year. And now, like a year later, just a little over a year later, there's another record, and I dare say, from my half a dozen times listening to it so far, that it's probably going to be my album of the year again, which is just insane. I can't remember that ever happening before in my life. Like, subsequent releases in successive years by a single band just kind of blowing me away like this.
That's very good to hear. I think that we were very stressed about this new one because it's a different direction. And with Love, we were no one before with Love. Like, no, we were Like nobody had heard of us at all. We had like 30 monthly listeners and stuff. And then lo and behold, we put this out. We did no promotion for it. It's like self-released and it just went to like the right. I think a lot of it was like Reddit and maybe some message boards and stuff. And then that really changed the band for us. So we were worried like, oh, are we going to be able to deliver again? You know, but also we don't want to make With Love too.
Yep.
We're sort of like I was really happy with Love. I think we did what we wanted to do there. We had a very distinct, it's a pretty, I know like there's a lot of different influences, but it's a pretty narrow vision. Uh for me at least, like and so I think that I had enough in that little With Love world, and it's time to go to a different world. But I was worried because I was like, is this sort of like just a one-off for us? So making this album, we were constantly like, is this going to be, you know, a real downer? Is this going to completely suck compared to With Love?
Well, I'd
Um,
certainly say it's a downer, like, but but not in that
well,
way.
yeah, I mean, it's all supposed to be a downer, that's for sure.
Yeah. I did
It's
see a comment on your YouTube earlier that said, "My hype is immeasurable. This band has almost ruined other music for me because of how good they are." So has this kind of reaction that people like that guy and myself have been experiencing been a bit intimidating?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, we're really lucky. We have really hardcore fans that DM and email us constantly and are very supportive, uh, where I think they have like a cult. And I remember having that fixation on bands as well. So it's kind of cool being on the other side of that, where so I mean, for most people that listen to this, they're going to be like, oh, that's cool. They'll like a couple, there's 15 tracks on this new album. They'll probably like a couple of them, and then the rest, they're going to be like, it's kind of take it or leave it. That's sort of the same with any album, right? But there are few people who are, and this, I saw this a lot with Love, where it became kind of part of their new personality. Um, I think that that's just it depends on who you are. If it like resonates with you.
I definitely feel that way. Like I just, it's happened again. Like with the last record and this one, it's just like I just kind of feel like I need to just be showing it to as many people as I can, just spreading the word. That's the kind of effect it's had on me, which
Yeah,
is just insane. But
that's
everyone,
awesome. Thank you so much for saying that.
everyone I show it to gets something like different out of it. You were saying, like the scope is kind of limited for you, but I find it really fascinating that everyone has a different comparison.
Yeah,
One of my friends said it's so crazy that they can pull off the exact same vibe as Terrifier by Pig Destroyer, but with murder ballads.
yeah. Okay, that's awesome. That's probably like the greatest compliment you could ever give because first of all, I love Terrify. I actually love Prowler. I think I like Prowler a little more if I had to pick. Gun to my head, but Terrifiers and Natasha are probably a close second when Pig Destroyer. And that is exactly what we were trying to do. When I started this project, it was a solo project, and then I brought Danny to do drums. Uh, and that was exactly what we were saying. We were coming from like hardcore grindcore bands, and we're like he and I are a little older now. I'm 32. He's even older than me. He's just sundowning out. He's done. But he 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 and I were sort of like we want to take that evilness, that evil kind of an anger and hatred and like energy and violence and but have it like a kind of more subdued, poppier, like subversive kind of something that lulls people in rather than Terrifier, which is a masterpiece, but it's very uh, abrasive.
Mm.
if you show this to someone outside of grindcore, they're going to be like, "What the?" I mean, it knows it is. The first track is like just like water droplets, right, of Terrifier, and then it comes in screaming with like the most piercing. So it knows how it's owning how abrasive it is. And we're gonna say, could you kind of capture that energy, uh, but instead of being abrasive, take that more poppy. So that's why it's called murder pop. It's because
Yeah.
yeah. Someone said that like when we were starting out, we were like, oh yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to go for.
So you described it as once as David Bowie in hell,
That was just I think someone's DM'd us that
right?
and or like DM'd us a reference to that, and we just I have not updated that. But I think our first album is more David Bowie in hell,
Mm.
but the next two are a little like my vocal style kind of shifted from that. But yeah, like that.
Yeah, like when I first, like I think you would have read the review that I wrote about it, but I was like, this is kind of like Daughters, Swans, Typo Negative, Nick Cave, but like also nothing like any of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good because they all have conquered their worlds, right?
Mm.
Like you don't, as I know there's a lot of bands that take after Swans, and I understand why, because Swans is so phenomenal and huge and transcendent, but they conquered that terrain. Like they did it. Do something different, right? Like that's kind of my advice. There are a couple bands that sound a lot like Swans that do something different, I think. There's a band Sprain. Have you ever heard that band?
I don't believe so.
Um, they're fucking awesome. And they're kind of like Swans adjacent, but they do their own thing with it. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I think like I love those bands, or all those artists that you mentioned, but I would not want to actually I feel like the band we get compared to the most would be Chat Pile
Yeah,
because we are the two bands in like this little noise rock world. I mean, they're way above us in terms of like notoriety, but I think they're fucking awesome. They're phenomenal, but I would not like again, they have their sound. They just knocked it out of the park, destroyed it. They're like I wouldn't want to sound like them because I wouldn't be able to compete with them. Like I wouldn't be able to add anything that they
yeah.
couldn't do better in that world. So I we had to like carve out our little niche for us.
I showed Bedrock to a friend the other day, and he was like, "This sounds like John from Negative Approach fronting Drab Majesty."
Oh,
So
nice. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. Bedrod, I'm really happy with how that has been received, even though I mean we still are a very small band, but just I can see like people liking it, especially a lot of like hardcore deathcore people, like people in bigger bands that have reached out. Um, I don't know like name drop any, but like people that I wouldn't have necessarily thought would like this, and they're like they get it. They're like it's the pop song for us. It's the pop song. It's an 80s pop song for uh people with profound self-hatred and yeah and I think too like because Danny and I both came from the grindcore world we try to bring that a little bit in like you can even hear it in the chorus of Bedrock where it's split in two and the second half of the chorus is like almost something I would say in like a hardcore band,
yeah,
right, and sort of like belting singing it. But that's my favorite song that we have done ever. If I don't listen to a lot of our music once it's out. I listen to it a lot when we make it because I'm obsessing over the mix and I'm taking notes and I go back and like I mean if it's kind of frustrating for the other people in the band and like the engineer because I will go back and re-record every vocal part and I'll be like, we have to record all of these, like this type of clean guitar. It's like it's too washed and we can't get that signal back. So we're gonna have to, I make my guitar player go and redo all of it. And like I obsessively listen to the songs when we're making them, but after I don't really like to listen to them that much. There's a couple of them that like I'll return to and be like, oh yeah, like just sort of I mean, listening to your own shit in itself is kind of like uh absurd. Like when you look, not that it I don't have, not that I don't do it or that I have anything against it, but like I don't know, there's just something about that. But Bedrock is one of the songs that like I listen to for pleasure. Like it is a song that I vibe out to,
It
which
is
is
definitely the best song on the record, I would say.
I think so too. I think it's the best song. It's like very simple. It's what I wanted. It's contained. It's like hooky, catchy, sad. It's just like it's the mood. It's very much like how I feel.
Yeah.
Uh,
Of course,
and
I was
so I
like
think
super excited for the record in general, but it wasn't until I heard Bedrock that I was just like I went into full hype mode.
nice. Yeah. Yeah, you kind of ease in like the last thing the single we did before Bedrock Pliers is not like the most standout song on the album. And we did that on purpose. We kind of wanted it to get its own little time in the sun, but we'll save a lot of the like more hard-hitting songs for when the record drops.
So I take it you are the primary songwriter, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Now it's become a lot more collaborative. Ever since Alice and Stefan joined, it's been even more. I mean, Jonathan and I were like writing every day for With Love, and like Pete and Danny are more like they write their parts. They write their parts. They're more like performance based. We all come together and like edit stuff together, but in terms of like who's bringing the raw ideas for With Love, it was me and Jonathan. Uh, and then Alice and Stefan joined into that. So it's really like the four of us now who are doing like, and I would say I contribute because it started as my solo thing. Depending on the song, I would say I'm still like bringing the lion's share of ideas. Also, those other people all have different projects. I pretty much have this one. I have a Alice and I have a side project. Um, called Barren Womb that we work on, but these are my only two projects. Whereas like Alice and Stefan have like fucking 20 projects or something that they're doing at any time. Like they have and then an ocean of unreleased material. They write songs, they'll write like an EP every week.
So do
Uh,
you think that's why the record has ended up as a 15 track one? Like it's
yeah. When you have six people who all have their ideas, three of whom are like obsessively writing stuff. And I feel like with Crippling, we have a very aggressive filter. So most of it is just us coming with ideas and it getting swatted away. Um, which, but there's six of us bringing ideas constantly that you can still, I mean, we probably had like over 100 songs in our original draft of potential songs for this album. And then we narrowed it down and down. And then it took a lot of effort to get that down to 15, where we wanted it to be. I like longer albums. I
it's
know some
daring to do
people,
that in 2025, like almost an hour's worth of material in this age of attention
yeah.
spans. You don't see it very much.
Do you know what actually came out and kind of changed my mind on this, which gave me a little bit of confidence? Is, did you ever listen to Playboy Cardi?
Nope.
he's like a rap. He's a big rapper. He's like on. He has he does stuff with like Travis Scott and like uh Kendrick Lamar and Kanye and shit. And he just put out an album in March that was 34 songs. And it's over an hour and a half of like rap songs. And he's like mega mainstream popular. And I was like, if this motherfucker can do that, we can put out 15 songs to like an esoteric art metal adjacent crowd.
So, with all those songs that didn't make it, is that how you've kind of gotten into the next album already, or are you starting afresh?
We're trying to start afresh. Actually, we're actually like bringing back some more like distortion and kind of upping the more metal. Alice has been really aggressively pushing. Alice, like her solo stuff is like extreme grindcore, really noisy, distorted stuff. And she's been sort of like she and Stefan have been bringing back uh it's almost like Deftonesy stuff, but not quite in that. So we're like heavy in the experimental phase with that, which
Yeah,
is exciting. Like that's like the coolest time for me is when you kind of have a vague vision of what you want and you have a bunch of people who are trying to get there and going through all these different drafts and you get ideas in the middle of the day and you text the group chat like what if we did this? That's really exciting.
that's interesting to hear because I think instinctually I kind of was hoping that it would go more metal because that's just where I'm from and what I'm into, and then I get the album and it's like, oh, they've gone more pop, and I think the pop songs are actually the best ones.
Yeah. I mean, I think the pop element is something that we can't get away from.
Mm.
So even if we infuse more metal stuff, we'll try to like things like catchy choruses and a lot of cleaner vocals, a lot of like euphoric sounds and stuff that we're trying to like it's kind of embedded in the sound now. It would be hard for us to go. I'm trying to think of an album like even you had mentioned Daughters earlier, like something like you won't get what you want, where it's much more abrasive and industrial. I think for us, we flirt with that kind of stuff, but we still bring it back to the more verse, chorus, verse, poppy,
Mm.
singer songwriter inspired stuff. Because I mean, that's for me, that's like that's like my favorite. I would say, like if it's a song like Bedrock, you've heard the album, so you heard Ladies Night, you heard Saran Wrap Cash, even like Mr. Sentimental, which is out now, or Pretty in Pink. These songs that are like could have been done by David Bowie or something like out of context. Could have been realized by it could be like a David Bowie cover or something. Like for me, that's like the most interesting stuff to write when you're like, how do we make the most catchy hook that we can do? And how Stefan and I have done that. Like our new process now is we'll get a chord progression and we'll just loop it and we'll get the mic and we'll loop it like hundreds of times and just do like whatever comes to mind. You just do like no, just whatever kind of vocals, and then you get these loops of like 100 different vocal takes, and then you go back and listen if any of them sound catchy, and then you're like, okay, this one, let's try this one, and then then once you have your like starting point, then you can make it because it's really hard to write catchy songs off the dome like that. It can be done. I mean, I think, but a lot of it is like you got to brute force it.
So, speaking of like a starting point, I believe I read that the band's name came from a subreddit title that you stumbled across.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not stumbled across.
Right.
I was lurking and I was posting. Yeah, it was r/ crippling alcoholism, which is for I don't know if it exists in the same because they took it down
Why?
and they took it down like pretty recently, like a year or two ago, and they put it back up. But I think it's a little different. When I was going on it 2016, 2017, in the throes of my struggles with alcoholism, it was like the most brutally honest, kind of toxic actually, but like really interesting subreddit where people would just, it was like confessionals where, and in the at the header it was like, this is not for weekend warriors, this is for people who like want to kill themselves and like cannot stop drinking if they're, and like it is, this is a place for them to come and like share their woes. And it would be people like, I just got kicked out of my house. I just got out of jail and I immediately started drinking again. And I'm sleeping in my car or like people are like, I'm so fucked. My body's so destroyed. I have to like wear a diaper. I'm shitting myself constantly. And like the comments would just be like, cheers, bro. Or it was chairs. Because the whole point was you were so drunk you couldn't say cheers, so you say chairs, and they would say, so I remember being on that, and it was, again, kind of like toxic. They weren't exactly, there were some people on there that would try to help you and say, like, look, I think you need to do this and this, but mostly it was just everyone enabling each other, and they were all just equally fucked up. And like, I know it's horrible, but it was something really refreshing about that, where you were just like, people, no one was bullshitting about how fucked up their lives were. They're just owning it. And then I got sober after. And when I was starting this band, I was like, what am I going to call it? I didn't think anyone would ever fucking listen to it. So I was like, oh, I'll call it Crippling Alcoholism. Because I'm coming from the grindcore world where all the names are like the most horrible shit, like necrotic, fucking anal fistula or whatever. And like, I was like, I'll just call it something horrible and abrasive and call it Crippling Alcoholism. So yeah, that's really where it came from. There's
Yes.
nothing like too profound about that. But
When I first heard the band and like read the lyrics, I was like, holy fuck, this is coming from someone who's had the most fucked up life ever. And then I read more about the record and learned that With Love from a Padded Room is like a concept album about, different prisoners in a fictional prison you've kind of made up, and it's all their different,
yeah, all fiction.
kind of inspired by the subreddit a bit, or
It's inspired by a lot of things. It's inspired by people I know, and it's inspired by then people I've read about as well. Like it's a kind of combination, and then just things you sort of like dream up. I don't know. I mean, in my life, I've met some pretty fucked up people that like make me look like a normal guy. Uh, and it's just endless fodder, people who are like real criminals, real fucking like uh deranged people that uh, are like, you're kind of horrified and you like hate them, but you're so fascinated by them. Like there's so many people I can point to in my life where they're like kind of bad people, but they're still human, right? It's not
yeah.
like they're psychopaths or something. They're just like, what, and that's just been like really interesting to me. So I wrote these different characters, kind of based on that, based on some people we know. Uh, and a bunch of us are sober and have had varying throes with addiction. And so there's no shortage of, when you're an addict, especially if you're like a street addict, you just meet these people.
Yep.
Like and so between the six of us, there's no shortage of problemed people to use as inspiration and songwriting fodder.
So the other day when we were chatting briefly about the lyrics, and I think I said something like how I find it kind of fascinating that you've got all these really dark, dirty, like violent, gross kind of lyrics at times that in the context of many other bands, I think it probably wouldn't go down very well. Like you could see some bands potentially getting cancelled with some of these lyrics. And you said I think people would understand that it's satire, but I never really took any kind of satire from it. I thought maybe just like exaggeration, perhaps, of like these kind of real
Yeah,
life
maybe
stories.
satire is not the right word. I would say like commentary. It's because satire, like when you think satire, you think like South Park, right? Where it's poking fun and just making fun of everybody and making fun of how absurd things are. It's like it's still very serious music, and a lot of it, yeah, I make up a lot of fictional characters, and I'll even like write their backstories out and give it to uh like the other members, and we'll talk about them and like kind of what we're envisioning. But we insert ourselves into it. Like there is a kind of reality there. And we'll even point to things that have happened in our own personal lives and draw from that and maybe like disguise it as a character, but it's us. And so maybe satire is not the right word, but it's not trying to be, we don't want to be like offensive for the sake of being offensive or anything. I
Yep.
would say if there's any like guiding theme to everything we make, it's like all these horrible things you think and like just fucked up ideas and sin and like the things that you get labeled as like sin and evil, like there it's not. It's just like you being a real person, a real it's what makes you interesting and what makes you colorful, right? And it doesn't give you an excuse to go and do bad things with impunity, but like you should recognize that about yourself. It's music, it's not real. If we were movie producers, directors, and we made the movie version of whatever song, like take Pliers, right? Which has this guy who's like clearly has some like really toxic, like masculine, and is also again, like for a song like Pliers, and sorry if I'm going off of on a tangent here,
Good.
but it's a song about like ripping someone's fingers out with pliers, right? But it's not really about that. That's just like the metaphor, but really it's this type of person who's so cutthroat, so competitive, so like nihilistic and ruthless that like you judge anyone with compassion as being weak, and like anyone that isn't just like totally like you cutthroat, like those people exist by the fucking millions, like they're real, and they might not be murdering people and pulling their fingers off, but they're in boardrooms, and they're a local manager at a fucking Dunkin' Donuts or something like that, or I've met these people, I've worked for these types of people who are that ruthless. So it's like trying to capture something real, and it's not at all glamorizing that. It's supposed to, and if we had made a movie about that person, people would understand that, right? There's something with music where people sometimes they think it's too personal than it really is. Like that you can understand the fiction in movies and television and books, and it's like you can read a really fucked up author who's talking about horrible things, and like it's not do you know the director Ari Aster?
Hmm.
He had I just saw that movie Eddington, and he did Hereditary and Midsommar and some other one. Beau is Afraid. Some other one. His debut film. I forget what it's called. It's called like Something's Fucked About the Johnsons or something like that. It is about a son who is like continually raping his own father. This is a guy who's like a mainstream director who I just went to a mega movieplex to see his movie. His debut film is like some of the most fucked up content that you could fathom. But because it's a movie, people understand that it's fiction and that he's trying to say something. He's trying to be like, or he's just being provocative. And like, people will be more forgiving with film and TV. But for some reason, music, because it's seen as an extension of like the ego and you, they're more suspect and skeptical. They're like, wait, if you're writing about this stuff,
Yep,
are you really like this?
totally.
Well, if I was writing a book and the character was like that, would you judge me then? Like, what? I don't understand like what the line is here.
Yeah, I don't think unless you have experience otherwise, I don't think I've seen anybody suggesting anything like that about crippling alcoholism. It's just an idea I find interesting.
No, no, no. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to say that they are, but people do that about music, I think.
Hmm.
And maybe for us, it's so out there that like, but no, people honestly, I get really nervous. Like for some lyrics, I'll pass it through. Like I was just talking with Alice right before we released this, and we were going over the lyrics together. I'm like, is this too much? Like, are people gonna take this out of I don't want them. I don't ever want to be like an edgelord or anything like that, or someone who's trying to do this to be, like an annoying internet person. I and we came to the agreement that like it makes sense in this world,
Yeah,
this
totally.
fictional world. Yeah.
I have a key to your house comes to mind. Like just the name of that song alone is so menacing. And then the line, if you got an ass and a mouth, you'll always have something to sell. It's like, fuck, man.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I mean, it's like, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, but
So tell us about Camgirl. Like, what's the concept? Is there a concept? Like, there's clearly a running.
yeah, yeah. No, there's a concept. So there's similar to the last album where each song is a different character. Each song on Camgirl, all 15 songs are different characters. The only difference is that the Camgirl, the main character, Belle, who's actually, I think, referenced in, well, I don't think, I know, she's referenced in Tinted Civic, because Tinted Civic was supposed to be on this album anyway. She's like in this album, and I know a bunch of female singers, so I had them do her parts,
Right.
and like do it's like even Pliers is Juliet from a great band called Luxury Skin. Go check them out. She did the second verse on Pliers, and it's supposed to be like she's with this guy who's in Pliers, and she's coming into his world and sort of seeing his perspective and being more like him. And you've heard the whole album. So at the end in the song Despair, this amazing artist, Meredith, from a band called Latter, Latter, she does the final verse of Bell, and it's like really visceral and talking about how like if she had this guy's kid, she'd fucking kill it, and she hates him. She would sacrifice her own life to just like see him in despair, and like lives to like now, like she lives to see him in anguish. And so the Cam Girl is her sort of journey through all these horrible guys. The second song, Surrender Around Cash, is like her dad, and then Alice does a spoken word thing at the end of that, which is her as a child, like her as a little girl. And so it's very much like her life, but through these sort of like she gets in she becomes a cam girl and she gets in with like these just like horrible guys. And then her she kind of it's sort of optimistic at the end and says she like breaks out of this, but not without a cost. So yeah, that's the sort of plot.
Hmm. That's I assumed when I first listened to it and was hearing all the female vocals on it that it must have been Alice, like your new member, doing all that, but it's all guest vocals.
Yeah, no, we so Alice does a bunch of the vocals. She does vocals in the song Cam Girl, Monet, and Saran Wrap Cash. I think I'm missing one. And then we had a couple other female vocalists. our friend Allison, she did a bunch of vocals. She's great. She also did a lot of like choir vocals. I don't know if you can hear them in the songs like Mary Kate and Ashley and Despair, where you'll have like lots of oohs and ahs, and we layered her voice a bunch. Um, and then Meredith from Ladder, Juliet from Luxury Skin, and then actually Aki did some vocals on the song at the end, which is like a it's literally like her as a cam girl talking to one of her clients, and she in the song Sweet Talk, she's asking this guy to send her money and calling him a fucking pig. And so yeah, it's sort of all these different uh perspectives I've heard from these different women.
It was pretty clear to me that there was a strong theme of sex work running through it all, but I hadn't
Yeah,
really pieced together the narrative so much. So I'm excited to go back and read through it all again, knowing all.
yeah. Well, yeah, because a lot of our female friends are in that world, and just from like listening to that, you get an idea of that, of the good and the bad, right? Like it's something where I don't want to come out. This is not like a conservative take as like any anti. Some of the characters are like have a weird relationship with sex,
Yep.
but that's about this character. It's not us as a band at all
My
talking about
wife is a
that.
sex
And
worker, so I know
yeah, yeah,
all about
you know the good and the
the
bad,
bad
right?
and just how insane this world
Yeah.
can be.
How insane and aggressive
What
like people
insane
can
shit
be.
fucking disgusting men will pay for.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And how there's something really beautiful to this and very liberating and extremely, but it does not come without the dark as well,
Yeah,
right? I mean, I don't, I'm not trying to like, I don't personally have experience with this, but
yeah,
I only know from like people in my world who talk about this.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what your wife thinks about that. I don't know if you
yeah. She was she really enjoyed Bedrock.
nice. That's
She
awesome.
heard the word slut and was like, "Did he just say slut?" Like, yeah, I got the lyrics here. Actually, let's look it up. Yeah, so she's
Yeah,
found it pretty fascinating
nice,
as a kind
nice.
of casual listener in my background to the background of my intense obsessive listening, I suppose.
No, that's great. But yeah, and so and I mean I think sex work is like one theme in the album, but a lot of it is just about like I think a recurring theme in all of our work is where this idea of like domination and how prevalent this is in like all these different forms, be it because we've sort of evolved from the physical domination and now it's like psychological and economic and sort of living downstream to all of these facets that are completely out of your control and like how it shapes you and how it fucks up your relationship with other humans and yourself and your idea of self and how you fall in the hierarchy of things. And um, I think that's like probably the most uh, the two big themes are the one I was talking about earlier, where it's sort of like, embrace the abyss that is your own mind and be okay with it and know that you're not crazy and you're not like that's something I really feel strongly about. And then the other one is sort of a more I'm not trying to get like too political or anything because I am not a political expert or a political analyst. It's sort of just like my humble thoughts about the way things are, but it seems like all of these, the way we look at ourselves and each other in this constant like competition and like whether or not we want to, and it could be who's the most beautiful, who's the best, who has the most money, who is the funniest, who is the most, we're constantly comparing ourselves. It's all downstream to this like brutal war for resources. And we don't really, and it really gets in the way of us enjoying like just being social entities and like, but it's kind of like too late now. We're kind of just fucked. We're like
Yeah.
this. Um, and so dealing with that and like that song you mentioned, I Have a Key to Your House. Um, it's just sort of someone who's in the throes of financial ruin and what will you do to um to get money, and a lot of it is like motivated by like a sense of moral failure, right? Like if you're not doing well, that you somehow are a bad evil person for like, and how tragic and sad and horrific that is. Anyway, I'm sort of rambling here.
It's so good. Do people like you say you had a lot of conversations with your fans? Like, I'm assuming that you have a lot of fans that reach out to perhaps tell you their sort of similar stories about their fucked up lives.
Oh yeah, I have become therapist to many a lot of guys in my DMs who'd be like, I mean, people will like, I'm trying to think of one recent, like this guy reached out to me and he was talking to me about his life and how he's in a relationship with this new woman and she has kids with this guy who's like a piece of shit junkie who OD'd and died. And he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, it feels like there's something wrong with me looking after someone else's kids. And I want to step up. I love them. I love her. Like, I want to be there for them. I want to be a dad. I don't know how to feel about this. I was like, dude, I'm a fucking musician. I don't know what the fuck. You got to see a therapist or something. Like, and I feel really grateful that people feel vulnerable enough to talk to me about that kind of stuff because I think the music, they see us putting it all on the line and they say, I'm going to put something on the line. And I'll talk with people and have a in-depth discussion. But at the end of the day, I don't have an answer to that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out my own fucked up life. Um, and so, but a lot of guys, I mean, the first show we ever played, this dude flew to New York from Ohio, which is uh, a long way to go to see a band with like less than 100 monthly listeners in some fucking basement in Brooklyn. And he sees me and he's like one of those guys who looks you right in the eyes and does not blink. And he was like, dude, I just got off parole and I can fly again. And I was like, I'm gonna see this fucking band. And I'm like, okay, man. He's like, yeah. And then we go on and I'm, in between songs, I'm like, by the way, he brings like 20 guys, like 20 like shady guys to this like hipster Brooklyn show. And I'm saying, oh, thanks so much for having us. And by the way, we have our merch tables over here. We have merch. And he goes, you have fucking merch? He screams this. He's like, you didn't fucking tell me you have fucking merch. And I was like, yeah, man, here, have the shirt. Like it's on the house, man. Have this, have a vinyl, have a CD, like whatever you want. Just don't fucking kill me. So there's a lot of those guys.
uh,
We love them though. I love all those guys because
it's
it's like they have real shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna the bigger your band gets, it's gonna get more. That's gonna get more and more intense for you for sure.
Yeah, so I don't put my return address or my real name on anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I have a friend that sings in a band that basically their whole discography, most of it's just all about being suicidal and depressed and dealing with that. And they got quite big, and he just basically had to kind of shut his DMs down.
Yeah. We're not that big,
Yeah,
but that I can see that happen. It, yeah. With us, it's like there's like a criminal element. So it's a lot of like guys like that. A lot of people who are like, And there was like the last album was like all about prison.
Killing
So
people in prison and like what there's a song Mob Dad.
yeah, yeah. So like a lot of guys like that, which I'm like, don't kill me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Fingers crossed.
but I think it's a lot of people who just are going through shit that
Yeah.
have an
As you
emotional
said,
connection with the
they're all
music.
still people.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah,
Everyone's got problems. Problems are just more extreme than others, and you've tapped into something very extreme.
yeah. I don't want to be like presumptuous, but at the same time, in any genre, there's going to be like people who obsessively fixate and don't leave you alone. But anyway,
Hmm. Yeah. So when we first started chatting, like a year ago or whenever it was, and I was sort of wondering if you because of the hype of the record, even though it wasn't like hype, but it was getting around.
it was
Um,
hype to us.
yeah, it was underground hype. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But I was curious to know back then if like many sort of labels or bigger industry kind of figures had sort of been reaching out or anything. And now for this record, you actually have booking agents and a new label. So it seems like it's kind of has been building from that.
The craziest thing for me is like when big bands reach out, like bands that I love and I would consider like huge, and they're in my fucking DMs. Like, hey, I love this. Like, I'll mention just because this band is like one of my favorites. Um, I remember early on, the bass player Chris from Deaf Heaven had reached out. And by the way, like were nobody. It's like, hey, yeah, I play in this band called Deaf Heaven, and I have a Deaf Heaven tattoo on my ribs.
You might have heard of
And
us.
I was like, yeah, I heard of you. Or we just opened for Have a Nice Life. Uh, and I remember when I forget which it was, either Mike or Tim had reached out first. So it was literally like, hi, my name is Mike. I play bass in this band, parentheses, have a nice life. We were wondering if you guys would want to open for us with this thing. We really like your style. And I was like, no way, no way. Like, that's crazy to me. And I mean, with the labels, it's like I really love being with Portrayal. Portrayal's another band. Like my wife was sort of saying, because we've been together for years, and she was saying, like, when I met you, one of the first bands you showed me was Portrayal of Guilt. It was like way before I started Crippling. You were like, yo, this new band, they're fucking awesome. And like she loves that stuff too. And she's like, it's kind of crazy now that you work with like you're on their label, we're email all the time. Matt King's a man. He's really like, just you do your thing and I'll just put it out on the label. Like do whatever the fuck you want to do, however many songs, when you want to put it out. He's very like, we split everything, but like he's very much that's my kind of label.
Yep.
Like I wouldn't want a label that's like, okay, we have the album. Now you gotta wait 2 years to put it out because we have to put it in with this. I'd be like, fuck that.
Yep.
Uh, I and luckily, like we all have day jobs, so like we don't necessarily like we can finance ourselves. Like it's fine. Uh, and that's kind of like where we want to be. But yeah, so I chose to go with Matt because I just thought it would be perfect. Like I love Portrayal of Guilt. I love him as an artist. He's a great guy. And like he gets it. He's kind of like an old school punk rock guy. He's just like, do your fucking thing. It fucks. Like, I love it. Put it out. We'll promote it. We'll do what we can, but like, there's no strings attached,
Yep.
which is great.
Perfect. Yeah, talking about band guys, loving what you're doing. I saw members of like Revocation and Rosetta talking about crippling alcoholism before I went and actually checked it out for myself.
Yeah, yeah.
I've known whose bands I've loved for decades at this point, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like Rivers of Nile and Revocation. They're like the earliest ones to pick it up, I remember. And we have their like Jonathan, who's like a huge death metal fan. He has all their like records like in his room, like framed. And so he was like, what the fuck? Like this, and Brett is just shout out Brett. Brett is has taken us under his wing as I mean, he's like the band dad. Or he's like, yeah, he's like the guy you call when you're like, I don't know what to fucking do. Like, we got this thing, they're not getting it back to us. Like, what should I do? And he'll just be like, do this, this, and this. And like, he's been so awesome. He's just like the best guy ever. Shout out Brett from Revocation, Brett Bamberger.
Got some stories that could potentially be crippling alcoholism songs themselves.
I'm sure he does. But he, again, the best guy in the world, the best guy there is.
I because he used to play, I think it was East of the Wall,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize that at first because like I toured with Rosetta like 20 years ago or something, and Dave from Rosetta was telling me all these stories about his crazy friend Brett and the fucked up shit that he would do and adventures he would go on tour and stuff. And then I went on tour with Revocation, maybe another 10 years after that, and I was meeting them, hanging out for the first time, and Brett's telling some story, and I was like, "Hang on, are you the Brett that's like really good friends with Dave from Rosetta?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's me." And it was just like this holy shit kind of small world moment.
That's awesome. I don't know that side of Brett. I only know the super professional, like
Yeah,
really like wholesome side of Brett, but he doesn't know my other side either. So it's good that we met in this context
yeah,
and not like 10 years ago where, yeah,
could have been
but
disastrous.
oh yeah, Brett and I, no, I think we would have been boys.
Yeah, I meant
Yeah.
like disastrous in terms of like the potential benders.
The potential of enabling would have been
Yeah,
bad, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah.
and so you
But
guys are about to go later this year tour outside of the USA for the first time yet?
got all the passports aligned, getting our tickets, got an Airbnb. It's like a new venture for us. So yeah,
You haven't even really done like a full US tour, right? It's only just been sort of drips and drops.
no, we'll do little weekenders and stuff, but we've never done an actual tour. I think it's really tough, six people all working different schedules. It can be really challenging. Especially because we're at a place where people are asking us to come to all these cities, but they're not willing to pay for six people to come there, and take 2 weeks off, 2 weeks, 4 weeks off of work, right?
Yeah.
Which I get. We're not, I don't even know if we could fill a room in America, like a lot of American cities. Like it depends, especially if it's just us. Like if we're the headliner, we're not that big.
Yeah, my feeling is that there's probably like 10 to 50 people in every major city of the world that like love crippling alcoholism, but it's like I feel like
Exactly.
everyone that like hears it and decides I like it, like they really, really like it. I'm
Yeah.
not really finding many casual fans.
No, no. And there's no scene, right? It's not like people who are like, I want to go to a hardcore show. So whatever hardcore bands are there, I'm gonna go to that show.
Yeah.
They're not like, I want to go to a murder pop show, some
Yeah.
genre someone made up last year and I on Reddit and I don't even know. Like they don't like that kind of stuff or like have a so and it's like I think bookers I've talked to a lot of like bookers, PR people, promoters and stuff, and they kind of ask, they're like, what is this? Like, what, if you had to put a name on this, like, what even, like, they'll listen to the songs, some of them, they'll be like, I don't even know what this is. Like, I don't know what bill to put you on. Do I put you on with metal people? Do I put you, like, we've had some like pretty big, like, heavy bands reach out to us to, and sort of invite us on their tours. And I've been a bit hesitant because playing heavier shows can go south for us because people are not they see the synthesizer getting set up and they're like, what the fuck is this? Like we played a big like beat down show
Fuck. I can't
and
imagine
we went on first
that.
because we were the smallest band. And people were like, "Are we at the right fucking show? Like, what is even going on here? What is this shit?" But so I don't know. It's really tough finding other bands to play with that have fans that are gonna like fuck with us. Because a lot of the bands that reach out to me, their fans won't necessarily like this, or some of them will, but
Yeah.
not all of them. Not enough to fill a room, like a 300 cap room.
So I guess Damnation and the Frail Body little run of shows is going to be a pretty exciting testing ground for you guys.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are a lot. I wouldn't say because I mean they use distortion, right? Like they're Frail Body, awesome band by the way. They're like more like screamo, so in a way they're heavier, but in a way like I would feel like we're a little more heavy, like in the evil domain, like the evil dimension. We're a little, they're more like sort of emotional, like real just like amazing screamo. So it'll be interesting to see that. But I think like honestly, the screamo shows I find are pretty open-minded.
You seem to play with more screamo bands and DIY bands than anything else.
Yeah, the screamo is our jam. That's like the closest we've been to like these are our peeps.
Yep.
Honestly, actually, no. I would say the show we played at Have a Nice Life. Those are our peeps. Those are people who had never heard us before, and we sold out of merch in like 5 minutes. And we're like, okay, these are, and a lot of people from that show have reached out and been like, I had no idea who you were, and I saw you, and I'm like obsessed now. So that we found our little audience, but they were there to see Have a Nice Life. They were not there to see us. They just so happened to like us as well. So that was really nice of Have a Nice Life to bring us up, and they're fucking awesome. But they're the same thing where it's like sad, poppy, goth, shoegaze music, but for metal people, like or for like more people, at least people who would like metal, right? For people who like like a black metal fan would love Have a Nice Life. It's so sad, and depressing, and suicidal. Um, but yeah.
So I assume that, like your mindset is just to kind of take it as it comes and just take those steps as they make sense rather than just trying to go, okay, let's go try and be a touring band.
Yeah, 100%. But I also think like we're what we lack in touring, we make up for it in putting out music.
Yeah, that's another thing I was thinking. Like, you wouldn't have been able to do like two subsequent records back to back in 2 years if you were touring like a normal band, so to speak.
Yeah, it's so I think we've been able to like most bands, it's like you put out an album and then you tour to sort of like raise awareness for that album. And like how social media works, which is the entire promotion now. Like all promotion is social media pretty much. For some reason, albums do really well. They get a lot of press, they get a lot of, so you almost promote the last album with the new album. Like we've seen a lot of like raise increase in the last album as we started promoting this album because this album's getting press and it's not out yet, so people go to the last one. So in lieu of a tour, we're sort of putting out a bunch of music, and we're hopefully we want to put out an album every year. We'll see. I think we'll have the other one ready, the new one. We've got a lot of ideas.
It's kind of exciting and really different to think that perhaps if it does kick off for you in like a way that enables you to actually become a proper touring band, by the time that happens, you could have like a insane catalog of like 3 or 4 albums.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope so. It does feel weird though. Like we only play for like 30, 40 minutes, and like we pretty much are all playing new stuff because that's the stuff we are like we've been doing. So a lot of people who are big, like we played two songs from With Love, but a lot of people who are like, I want to hear With Love, like
Yeah,
just I
yeah.
want to hear that. album. I don't want to hear whatever else. Like it could be, I feel bad for them,
Which
but
songs do you find go down better live, like the poppier ones or the heavier ones?
it depends on the audience. We open our set with "I'll Pay More," which is the first track from "With Love." That song tends to like go down because it's very um we play it in a like a way more hardcore kind of way with like a really big chorus and a really big bridge, and the lyrics are like it's like you should have thought about your family, and I like get in people's faces so they're like, oh shit, like this is like if you're the more like screamo hardcore metal people tend to like that type of stuff.
Mm.
um so we that's what we Otessa probably goes down the most, like just because we play it's very big, we turn the synths up for that, it's like has a pretty climactic ending, and then the other songs that do really well are the newer dancier ones, so like Ladies Night, Mr. Sentimental, Bedrock goes down pretty well. I had actually a bunch of people from the Have a Nice Life show reached out to me and they're like, yo, what? I can't find the song about you're a fat fucking scumbag. Which one is that? Like, I need to hear that. And so I was like, oh, it's not out yet. And they're like, fuck. Um, because we played this show in Providence, like on our last little tour, where it was like for like a lot of younger, uh, like 18 to 25, and we were playing these songs and it's like the whole crowd's like dancing, like they're doing like all these like like 20-year-old like goth girls are like dancing to this, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I've never played in a band where people could dance to, uh and so yeah, I mean it depends on the crowd, really. It depends on what you
Very cool to be in a position where you have that kind of privilege to be able to tailor your set.
yeah, I mean, like even songs that do like that song from With Love, Liquid Jesus, which is for me, I would say like one of the best songs off that album, if not the best. Like I'm in terms of like, I think it's really hooky. I think it's got a mood. I think it's like got that dark country thing, which we were trying to do. I found like it didn't go over really well that well live because the chorus works because it's layered vocals. So it's like dun dun and there's like I layered like both octaves, and I can't do that live. And it's really tough to like capture that. A lot of it is like contingent on production. So it didn't translate that well live. Same with Satanism one. So like these are songs we took out. We used to have Red Looks Good on Him. We took that out too for a similar reason. It like didn't translate live. I don't know, maybe it was like something wrong we were doing, but we would really practice them and like get it tight. And I got in-ear monitors so I could sing in tune or sing in key. Uh, and it just didn't have the same energy as whereas some songs like Otessa have more energy live. Like I would say like the live version we do of Otessa is like way more impactful than the album version. Uh,
So is that live feedback kind of something that you considered while writing Camgirl? Trying to avoid parts that you wouldn't be able to replicate?
um, that's a good question. I mean, we always ask ourselves that. Like, there's some songs that we won't be able to play live. They're just too, or like we play them live, but they're going to sound like a very frail, bastardized version of the album version. Like the title track, Camgirl. It has throughout the whole thing, like it could have four different synthesizers at once. We have one synth player. And so it's like, okay, do we get the guitar player to also bring in another synth and play these parts, all that? And like our synth player, Jonathan, is like insanely good at piano and can do, but he has two hands. Like he can only do too much I mean, he can only do so much. And so there's parts that like just by the nature of who's playing, and we don't want to play backing tracks either because that's a whole bitch. Like and I think we like to speed up and slow down. Like Danny is a very our drummer is very he comes from like grindcore and like free jazz is like his background. So he loves to just like if he has an amazing pocket and internal rhythm, but we like to kind of speed up as we go along to like bring that energy up. And you can't do that very well with organically with backing tracks. So there's just some songs like we'll talk about, but I mean, ultimately, it's like, is it going to sound good on the record? Like, that's first and foremost. Like, can we make it sound good? If it sounds good and people really want to hear it, we'll find a way to do it live. Luckily, like the more poppy songs like Bedrock and Ladies Night and even like Mr. Sentimental are like pretty easy to do live. So it works out that way.
Well, I think that's probably about all I really have to ask you about Tony. But actually, thinking about it, is Tony actually your real name? Because you were saying before that you use a different name.
Yeah, no, my real name's Tony. It's just
Yep.
not my last name is not Castrati.
Okay.
It is a
Where'd you get Castrati from?
I don't even know.
Just made it up.
I made it up because like there's like Tony Soprano and Soprano is a high singer and the only singers that are higher than that are castratis because they've been like castrated. So I was laughing at the idea in my head of like some guy being like, I'm even more of the boss than Soprano. I'm the castrati and like not knowing what that means. I don't know. I just thought it was really stupid.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I chose it. And then again, like all of this stuff I established when I thought this was just going to be like a fucking bedroom project and not go anywhere. So I'm kind of stuck with it. I would have chosen something cooler like Tony Cobra or Tony yeah. I don't know.
That's amazing.
But,
We were talking about, there was only, as a band with less than 100 monthly listeners or whatever. And I think now you're at like over 10,000. And it's just every time I look, it's just going up and up and up. So I think this record's going to do amazing things for you. And I'm incredibly excited about the future of this band. It is definitely one of the most exciting and refreshing things I've heard in my life, I would say.
oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Sorry, you just cut out for a sec. We had actually really good connection this whole time, but you like cut out for a sec. But you were saying we went from few monthly
I was
listeners.
just glazing you, basically, just talking about
Oh
how
man, of course the internet goes out like on the prime glazing. Yeah, yeah.
you were just
Uh,
talking. I was talking about how you went from being a band with 100 monthly listeners or less than, and now it's like over 10,000. And every time I check, it's just climbing and climbing. And so I think this record's just gonna just take this band as far as you want it to go.
well, yeah, thank you so much for saying that. And I mean, it's like I've been making music my whole life and no one ever listened to it until now. So it's very strange. And I'm 32 and I've been making music since I was 12. So for 20 years, I've been making music that nobody I'd put out. I would put on my social media and make new accounts. I wanted them to. They just didn't want, like, and I think a lot of people my age like experience that. It's really fucking tough so it's like I have no idea, but like this is an amazing dream come true
Mm.
for us. Like just to have even to where we are right now, like I had no idea anyone would fucking give a shit like that. It's amazing. It really feels good to just be able, and it gives us opportunities. Like we get to go to the UK now. I mean, that's and play and meet on and like the people I've met in the industry is amazing. Like it's just it's like it's really insane to me. And I know we're still super small, but like to me, this is huge
Yeah.
for in my little world. So like it's just amazing, and I feel very humbled by it. And I think we all do. We're kind of still like we're like, wait, who reached out from that band? Like, that, whatever, and you're like, oh shit, that's crazy.
Yes.
Uh,
So we have been talking about trying to get the band to Australia and find the right opportunity for that. We don't need to go into any details or anything on the podcast, but you mentioned that you wanted to just wait and see how these shows in the UK go,
yeah,
how the band
I,
functions, which
I,
I think is a really kind of mature way to handle it and approach it, just to make sure that you can actually function on
we
the road before you commit to shit.
no, it's we also got a couple invites from some like bigger festivals that are further from us than Damnation that we're still, I won't say anything, but we're like still talking to people about that. I don't want to like, so I'm waiting for those to get resolved as well. And then I'll have a better idea of like what 2026 looks like. And when we come back from Damnation in November, I'll have an idea like, okay, this is something that we can do for a week, or this is something we can't do. I feel very comfortable. Or like maybe this is something we can do for 3 weeks, like, so it depends on how that unfolds. And I mean, all the fucking crippling members are pretty fucking, they're soldiers. They can do whatever. It's mostly just the coordination thing that I worry about because we're all fucking idiots. And like that's it, just being like on top of our shit and treating this like a little bit more seriously. Also, so in Australia, right, there's 5, 6 states, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Six
It's
states,
basically like
and
five major cities that are viable for most touring bands.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So which part of Australia are you from again? I forget.
I'm from Brisbane, but I'm in Melbourne. I moved down to Melbourne about
Oh, nice,
12 years ago.
nice. So like if we were to tour Australia, what is you would go to the 5 major cities, you think?
It would all depend. A lot of bands, especially more niche shit, will just do Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne because there's just not the population in some of the other cities, especially like
Yeah.
more weird the music gets. But yeah, there's so many different ways you can do it, and but I definitely think Crippling Alcoholism coming to Australia would need to be supporting a bigger band. I think Melbourne's the only city that it could probably pull off a successful headline show in.
I will say like the amount of Australians that reach out is crazy. Like I don't know. I don't know if it's you like promoting us all the time, but like we get a ton of Australians like just in our DMs and stuff. People are like, when are you coming to Australia? And my first thought is like, for me, that's like a 20-hour flight,
Mm.
like minimum. And so, uh, but like I'd fucking love to come to Australia. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, like even I
Just
was I was really surprised when you sent me all the records last year to send out to all the people who had
yeah, yeah. Thank you again for that. That was so awesome of you. I forgot to thank you for that.
there
Thank
was
you.
what like 30 or 40 copies or something, and I was like, damn, that's crazy. Like most most Australian bands would be stoked to be selling 30, 40 pre-orders of an LP.
Well, it was crazy because this was like, well, the first press when we were like way smaller too. So we had a lot, like if I looked at the analytics and it was like, obviously United States is the most listeners, UK, and then Australia was like a close third.
Right.
So I was like, damn, maybe it's just you guys just have such a rough life out there.
Well, it's
It's a
the convict colony, so I guess the prison theme
it's
resonated.
prison colony. Yeah. You're all the descendants of like
Mm.
the outcasts from Europe, and then everything there can kill you too. It's like
There's
super jail.
an insane drinking culture here as well, like
Yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah, okay,
one
it
of the
makes
highest
sense.
cocaine
Yeah.
use in the world, which is
Oh,
crazy. It
yeah, yeah,
costs
yeah.
so much fucking money here because it's so hard to get into the country.
Yeah, because I listened to that band Tropical Fuckstorm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of songs about like Australia's finest homegrown coke and like a lot of cocaine, a lot of Australia cocaine reference.
Mm.
But that's funny. And then like I think too, like, do you guys like kind of like dark country stuff because it is a bit of like a country vibe almost in Australia. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like pop, like radio country. I mean like old, I don't know, like Johnny Cash type stuff. Like,
Yeah, I can't really speak on that sort of side of music with too much authority, but I feel like there is a definitely a scene for it. I know, like I sent a link to With Love to because I used to work for a radio station, as you probably know, and there was a guy who also worked at the network, and his show was called Tower of Song, and it was just like all about kind of storytelling, kind of, and it was sort of a country show, but like a kind of a folk show, like all just about great storytellers that sort of mainly seemed grounded in country. And I sent him a link to the record, and he said he thought it was incredible. So
oh, that's awesome.
I think
That's awesome.
I think there's definitely could definitely be some crossover appeal to that.
Yeah.
Explain
Yeah.
some of the listeners that you picked up down here. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. That's awesome. Well, no, but anyway, we'd love to come to Australia. We just need to see how things are going, but I
Yep.
mean, we'll be in communication and
We'll figure it out.
I
For sure.
can't, I
I,
can't thank you so, like, I cannot thank you enough for, um, just like the support that you've had for this band and like whether it's like you were the point of contact for our records, which was amazing, and you've just been like such an awesome source of support. We like from all of us, we cannot thank you enough for just everything.
my pleasure, man. I like that's what I do in life. I just promote the music I love the most. So
Well,
thank you
yeah,
for doing it. Thank you for writing it.
absolutely, yeah. And thanks for listening to the album too, beforehand, and giving me some good feedback on that. Just because it's like it's you're like it's nerve wracking, you know. You're like, uh-oh, are they gonna? Is this gonna be the flop? But I'm definitely I'm excited for it. I just want it to be out. It's in like 1 month, so yeah, it should be good.
Awesome.
Anyway,
Well,
yeah,
great chatting with you, Tony. I'm gonna get on with the rest of my day now.
yeah, yeah. What time is it there? So it's like three
It's like
o'clock
three
there.
3:20 in the afternoon.
Nice, and it's Sunday there. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, because it's Sunday here, but it's 1 a.m.
Well,
So
thanks for giving up your Saturday
I
night.
should probably go. I'm just gonna go play some video games and then watch the sunrise and then sleep like 2 hours. So that's how my night goes. Yeah, but
Sick. Well, I'll talk to
well,
you sooner than later, Tony.
yeah, thank you so much, man. Lachlan, saying it correctly because
Yes.
we've mostly talked now just through like DMs and email. Okay, because I was like Lachlan. I don't want to
Yeah,
say that. Yeah,
my parents insisted on spelling it differently, which has led
yeah,
to a lot of misspelled letters and certificates and all sorts of
yeah.
messages and everything over the years. But I guess I like
I
it.
mean, at least you have an interesting,
Yeah.
unique name. Yeah.
All right, thanks, dude. I'll catch you soon.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. All right. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Music Is My Life. This podcast is self-produced by me, Lachlan Watt. I'd like to thank Audio Technica Australia for providing the high quality equipment that has made this possible, as well as Patrick Galvin at Hollowbone Studio for the design. The killer theme music that you are currently hearing was written by the legends TJ Cowgirl and Sam Saljuki. Catch you in the next episode.